Okay, so today is Sunday, 28th December 2025. It's midday and the temperature is 19 degrees centigrade, which is about 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Last night, temperature went down to about 13 centigrade, 55 Fahrenheit. So it is, if you like, the start of winter in my subtropical climate. And yet, in the last few days, some of my MEDAKA eggs hatched. So at the start of winter, eggs are hatching. And if I sound surprised about that, it's because today, with temperatures between 13 degrees and 19 degrees, I think that's winter. And or the start of winter. And I tend to forget that these sorts of temperatures might be considered a pleasant summer's day, although perhaps a bit cool in some temperate climates. And you'd expect eggs to be hatching on a summer's day in a temperate climate. Of course, I mean, there's a big difference between a subtropical climate and a temperate climate, and that's that the day length here in winter, as it is now, is a bit below 11 hours. In temperate climates, the day length might be 14 hours in summer. However, I've got 4 strains of MEDAKA which occasionally spawn and produce eggs in the sort of short day lengths we are having now. For example, the strain most likely to produce eggs is my Miyuki strain. I've got 3 tubs of these. These are somewhat elderly adults. Maybe get a couple of eggs every few days from these. I've then got some juveniles, getting on towards being adults. Really not many eggs from these at the moment. Maybe I need to check how many males and females I've got in there. Maybe that's a problem. However, the young juveniles in this tub are producing the most eggs at present. Maybe 3 or 4 a day, maybe occasionally not any on a day, but usually about 3 or 4 most days at the moment. So the next strain of these Orochi in here, got a mix of adults and juveniles. Don't seem to be interested in spawning at the moment, not sure why. But I've got some juveniles in this tub, although I can't see them, I don't think. Maybe it's a bit cool, they're down the bottom of the tub. Some juvenile Orochi. They produce maybe 1 or 2 eggs every couple of days or so. And in here, I've got the orange variety, mixture of mainly adults, juveniles, occasionally producing eggs, but mostly they're not fertilized. So not quite sure what's happening with them. But the orange variety in this tub, the juveniles, they're not that big, but they're producing maybe a couple of eggs every day. The eggs seem a bit small because they're juveniles. Usually for adults the eggs are bigger, but none of them have hatched out yet. Another strain which will produce eggs, you probably can't see them. These are Hainan MEDAKA, which is a wild version of MEDAKA. They're very shy and they hide away as much as they can if anybody's around. I think because they're a wild strain, that's the way they behave. This is a wild strain from North Vietnam and southwest China, and it's named after a large island off the coast of China, which is subtropical. This species is closely related to Japanese MEDAKA and will interbreed, but the offspring are usually infertile. I've collected a few eggs from them recently, but none have hatched yet. And here are the newly hatched fry. Hopefully the camera will focus. These are Miyuki, and these are Orochi. Only a very few Orochi, quite a lot more Miyuki. So nighttime temperatures in a couple of weeks maybe fall down to perhaps 10 degrees centigrade. No, not focusing. There we are. In previous years, I've sometimes heated the tubs to about 20 degrees centigrade to help the fry survive. But maybe this year I'll not provide any heat and see if they're tough enough to survive in a subtropical winter. Now the problem will be that MEDAKA won't feed at temperatures below about 10 degrees, but adults and juveniles usually have enough stored fat reserves and good immune systems to survive this. Fry will only have very little stored fat reserves, and so that may be a problem. But in my climate, temperatures below 10 degrees centigrade maybe only last 2 or 3 days, so the fry may still survive. In addition, the tubs are undercover. They've got a stone wall along the back, and the stone wall may store enough warmth during the day to radiate heat during the night, which may keep water temperatures 1 or 2 degrees warmer than air temperatures. But that's all very speculative. I'll just have to see what actually happens. Okay.